Our seventh tradition states that every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. We will now pass the basket. This is a weekly literature or step meeting, or format is a speaker is asked to talk for no longer than 30 minutes. He or she spends 15 minutes on qualifying themselves, and then the other 15 minutes are either on a composition from the big book or the step of the week, followed by group shares, discussions, or questions until 7 p.m. We then end with the speaker's choice of the Lord's Prayer, the Serenity Prayer. You can find our past weekly meetings on our YouTube page called the Stay Alive Literature and Step Group Meeting. You can also find information about our upcoming meetings and other good stuff on the Doylestown Recovery Group Facebook page. Do not forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share. This brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting. September 1st, 2025 in Doylestown, Pennsylvania on the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and Step Group meeting at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight I have the honor of introducing Mike, and he is going to give his experience, strength, and hope on step 7 this evening. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Hi everybody, I'm Mike, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Mike.
I know I'm an alcoholic. I joined AA in July of 2015, and I sit here today with only 15 months sober. So do the math. I had 4 years, good years, and relapsed right before COVID, and it was horrible. I just real quick. I do have a sponsor. I have a home group. I have 2 home groups. I have a grant sponsor. I have great relationships with both of them. I actually sit next to my sponsor every day when I'm up there, every morning. We spend a lot of time together. I actually work with them sometimes. So I mention that because I think that's extremely important. Because not that my relapse was anyone to blame but myself, but I'm certainly have identified some contributing factors that I think people really should pay attention to. And that's why I'm pretty adamant about bringing that up. Because, my relapse was, when I first came in. And again, I like we read about, you hear it a million times. I had a great upbringing with great parents, very close. They were very spiritual, very tied to the church, to the school that I went to. And then I went to the Catholic high school, and then I went to a Catholic college. Went to church every Sunday or Saturday night, and it wasn't. I don't feel like going. If you said that, there's no was not. You're going. So my whole life it was basically force fed the church and God, and I guess on a just ignorant level, I understood what God was, and it was just going to church and prayers and altar boy, all that stuff, and never really got it, and it took me a long time to really get it, and that was like the first time I went to my first rehab. It took like the 3rd day in, I was just like, wow, spiritual, moment. It was like getting hit by a lightning bolt, and I was like, oh my gosh. I felt like I had gotten the answers to a final exam the next day, and I was like, everything made sense. The 12 steps, or the first rehab. First time I ever saw it. What's Alcoholics Anonymous? I think I heard of it once. What's this big book you're giving me, telling me to read the first 164? What is that? I had no idea, and I'm sure I didn't know anyone that was in AA back then, because I really think that, I probably should have got help in my late 20s. And the fact that I didn't know anyone or drinking alcohol was part of my life. It was just like, it was around the house. My parents weren't alcoholic. None of my siblings. I'm the black sheep, so of course I turned out to be, right? And, but even with that being said, I lived a normal childhood. I was very active, very athletic, had a great group of friends. We all hung out. We all went through life together. You know, we all like find a place in the woods to, you know, get somebody to get us a case of beer or a bottle of something. Didn't matter. We didn't even know, whatever you can get us. And we'd all, you know, we'd share it. You know, everybody would get buzzed and, you know, whatever. But I was never like the person that would like always get sick, always pass out, always cause a scene. Everybody had their moments in my group, you know. So I never really identified a problem until I came into AA and really like did some, you know, soul searching and self-reflection. I'm like, wow, okay, I remember that. Yeah, I blacked out then, okay. But still, it wasn't enough for me to surrender, you know. And because I had a great job, I was married, I had 3 beautiful kids, you know, lived in a great neighborhood. Like, you know, we read about all this stuff, you know. It's like I had everything I wanted. And later on, you know, I definitely experienced the progressive nature of the disease because there were stages in my life where I noticed my drinking more. It was more, you know, it was like, yeah, up to like 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Never drank on Sundays because I didn't want to be hungover on Monday. I wanted to be focused. That went away too over time, you know. Finally, Sundays were one of my favorite drinking days, you know, football season, fireplace, you know. You know, it was fun, man. You know, I loved drinking. I loved alcohol, you know, I really did. It was just like an elixir to anything. Good things, bad things, you know. It was like, didn't matter. It was the way you just like calm, you know, your nerves, your thoughts, whatever. But it became unfun. It really did. You know, to the point where everybody's on my case about getting into rehab. Sometimes I say, okay, I have no idea what this is. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or wrong thing, but I can't, just send me there. You know, I'm not going to spend too much time on that because, you know, it was a great experience. It was amazing. I'm like, wow, I never realized you can live life without alcohol, which you can. I mean, absolutely. I like things better when I'm sober, seriously, and I'm all over the place. You know, I was just telling Jen, I just turned down 2 concerts this weekend, free tickets, because you know what? I was tired. You know, I was running around, and AA was definitely a part of it. That's one part of my life that does not get taken away. And a lot of people I'm very close to don't get that, you know. They don't get, like, how do you spend so much time with AA? You must spend, like, 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm like, oh, that's it? Wow, okay. I guess I'm doing okay then. They're like, yeah, but how can you spend that much time? Are you getting paid? I'm like, paid for? Yeah, I am getting paid. I've gotten so many gifts, man. I have to rent another storage unit with the gifts I've been given from AA. And I'm even more grateful because I had that already and I gave it away. Greatest gift in my life. And I gave it back. You know, but again, everybody's got to find their bottom. You know, I don't know why. It's in the big book. It's people talk about it. I kind of found out why, but it was extremely painful, you know. Because when I did pick up, the progression kicked in. And then like a month later, I was drinking like every weekend. 3 months later, I was drinking every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 3 months later, it was like, boom. Within 6 months, I'm drinking every day again. And on top of that, I'm drinking more. Like just like I knew, you know, I learned about it, I heard about it. And it was bad. It was like during COVID, man. Horses were out of the barn. You know, they shut my company down. I knew I was going to be out of work for at least 3 or 4 months. I was like, man, this is great, you know. I have no idea what's going on. Let's just hang out. And man, it got ugly. I basically slammed the door on my life. Didn't care to talk to anyone. Sometimes I didn't leave the house for like 3 days. All I cared about was, do I have enough alcohol to get me to, I go to bed, or I don't know what they call that, sleep or passing out, or am I gonna have enough in the morning if I'm really hurt and I need something quick? That's all I cared about, seriously. I didn't give a crap about bills. You know, I was, of course, you know, my family, you know, they would call me, but they weren't comfortable situations, conversations. They knew, man, I was in trouble, you know, and they didn't say it though. They just, you know, which, you know, that everybody has their own way, you know. the closest people to me in my life never said, Mike, you need help, you know? That was decided for me, because I thought I was going to die, and I called my primary, and I've known him for 30 years. And I found out later that he's very much in tune with alcoholism. He lost both his parents to the disease. I never knew this. I've been with the guy 30 years. I don't know if he's in a program. I don't think he is, but he kept that to himself. But along the way, he would like point out things. Like he asked me, how much are you drinking? I have a couple beers a night. He's like, no, you're not. He goes, don't lie to me. He goes, look at these numbers, man. You're drinking like an alcoholic. He told me that a long time before I went and got help. So another thing, note to self, get a good doctor that knows you and be honest. He pretty much saved my life. He doesn't like to hear me say that, but he did. He got me to go to a hospital, and they were waiting for me there. And they spent 10 days wondering how the hell this guy is still breathing right now. I mean, my body was right at the beginning of things shutting down. From my brain to my friggin' toes. I mean, things were just starting to go on the blink. And that's where, like, my, another spiritual, experience, God came, and that's the only way I can explain, like, why I'm still here right now, And I kind of kicked in, even though I still prayed during those dark days. It was a different kind of prayer, man. It was just like, I'm okay. If you can't help me, just let me go. I mean, that's really sad to have to get to that point. But I was there. I couldn't live life with or without alcohol. It's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. So I guess everybody's got their own journey. I had to go through that. What am I doing here?
15 more minutes.
15 more?
Mm-hmm.
And then another 15.
No, just...
I'll give you a 2-for-1 right now. These are all things that are part of my journey, and I'm extremely, extremely blessed, and I never forget it. I pray about it all day long, starting it as soon as I wake up. I have my prayer routine, and I pray throughout the day. I mean, I have so much to be thankful for. And you know what? The material things are on the bottom of the list. Seriously. I told my mother 2 weeks ago. I said, and she was questioning like what I'm doing, and she goes, Mike, I don't understand. She goes, your family is like, up in arms, like what you're doing. I go, what am I doing? So what? We're having a problem. It's between us. It's not your business. I said, we're good. The kids are good. That's really not your business. Just pray for us that we're going to be okay. Because she's a very spiritual woman, but I don't understand. And she said to me, I said, Mom, let me tell you something, just to put it in perspective for you. Maybe you'll understand this a little better. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life right now. She's like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, I was making, 7 figures a year, big house, on a golf course, doing this and that, this car, this vacation, that vacation. I was miserable, Mom. She's like, how can that be? You had all the money, you were going to retire, this and that. I go, you figure it out. I'm happy now with $50 in my pocket, it's like, but I'm doing so many good things that I know are gonna reap the benefits, and they already are. Like the promises to me is as important as how it works. Thank you for reading that. The promises are just because the first time I had 4 years sober, and the promises, it could have been written in different language. I'm like, I don't see any of this. People would say, just stick around. Nothing. This time, boom, boom. I'm checking every box. I still have a couple boxes that need some work, but man, if that's not like, finding gratitude, or reasons to be grateful. I mean, I don't know what is, when you can really have tough things going on in your life and you see things every day. I'm learning things that I never did before. I'm a very impatient person. It comes from my background, what I did professionally. I wanted things done yesterday, and that was the nature of my business. But that's how it was with my life too, But now I'm like, patience, because I want someone to call me back. I want a response from that email. I want results, like ASAP. And that's not the way life is, As a grown man, I finally figured out that if patience works, I mean, I believe this. I don't know about anybody else, but I think my destiny's already written out. It's in the books already. And that's why I'm so spiritually connected, because it's, God already decided where I'm going. And to be impatient and get crazy over something I have no control over. I mean, that's what the Serenity Prayer is, right? If you have no control over it, you can't bring back what you did in the past. You made mistakes. Move on. Apologize. Move forward. Make sure you learn from that mistake. Take control over what you do have control over right now, today. Tomorrow you'll think about it. Pray about it. But just be prepared for it. That's all you can do to keep your sanity. That's what I do. So, okay. I'm waiting for the boom. I told her, I gave her permission. I'm surprised she didn't hit me. All right, now what? Steps, okay. So, I'm going through the steps right now for probably the 6th time. And I requested to do them extremely patiently, because like my first round of sobriety, man, date means nothing. I was always chasing time. It was almost like, oh, I got more time than you. I got 5 months, 6 months, a year. Bullshit. It means nothing. This time, I'm telling you, this means a lot, man. It's like the most famous. It's like the biggest. What's the biggest AA tagline? One day at a time. But I never really paid attention to that. But it makes so much sense. And every old timer will tell you that. Because I'd be like, oh yeah, when I first came in, man, it must be nice being sober 30 years. What are you talking about? He goes, I'd rather be in your shoes right now. You just came in a couple of months ago. How's that? Because all I have is the same as you. We have today. We can leave this meeting right now, walk across the street, have a couple beers, go home, and relapse. You might not drink again for another couple of months or a couple of weeks or a couple of days, a couple of hours. Because what my experience was, that first drink ended up getting me drunk. It took about 6 months, but I was in a much worse place than I was the first time I went in 6 months. And I wasn't stopping. I was slowly committing suicide, and I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. So when I say it became unfun, that was the point. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track again. So my prayer routine in the morning, I love like this thing I have. Excuse me. I'm sure everybody's got this, but I love it. Sorry, you making fun of me?
No.
What'd I do?
No.
All right, this is like the abbreviated version of the 12 steps. I love it because I just say it. Like step 1, I can't. 2, God can. 3, let him. 4, look within. 5, admit wrong. 6, get ready to change. 7, seek God's help. 8, become willing. 9, make amends. 10, daily inventory. 11, pray and meditate. So this is really an easy way for me to just stay focused and just know. Because I'll be totally honest with you, I kind of get mixed up a little bit in the middle. But when I do read them, I'm like, I already lived this life, And that's what we strive to do. And that's because I hang around with the right people and I learn, and listen. And I learn so much. Every person I talk to, every meeting I go to, every commitment I go on. I mean, I just love AA, the program. It saved my life. I watch it saving other people's lives, and I'm also able to learn how dangerous, fatal this disease is. It's going to kill you. Locked up, covered up, or sobered up. Take your pick. I'll pick sobered up. I never had the others, but I almost got covered up. So, I'm right there, right in the middle. And actually, ironically, right there, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9. But again, like with the, aid of my sponsor and my grant sponsor, kind of like, I don't want to say cheat, because that's a bad word. But I've sort of been doing a lot of these things because, as far as making amends, I'm sorry if I'm going off topic, am I?
No, you're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
just kick me.
No,
I'm waiting. I should have
no,
a
no,
couple
no.
of bruises already.
No, no,
But
you're
I think sometimes amends, you gotta feel it. I feel like if I stay connected spiritually, I'm gonna identify. I'm gonna be put in a situation where if there's someone on my list that I'm gonna make amends to, I jump on the opportunity. Because I've already prepared myself. I've already done the work. I already have it written down. Who I'm gonna. I'm not getting ahead of myself. I just kind of know how the process goes. Like step 4, we took 3 months. Because he wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure that there was nothing that I missed. And I did find things that I forgot about, or didn't think it was that important, but it was, And unfortunately, some of those things, there's no way I can, put it to rest by making an amends. But at least I identified it, and it really has made a difference, I mean, prayer, and people get intimidated when you gotta pray. Oh, I gotta pray. Oh, I mean, I just pray because and again, when I grew up, what did you do? You went to church to pray because there was something you needed help with, or something you wanted. It was always, that's the way I was brought up. And the only time they ever said gratitude, my parents would say, well, we're going to church because, Jesus died on the cross for us. The least you can do is spend an hour a week in church. That's what I would get every week, and which is true, but I mean, it wasn't, really, whatever. Then high school, same thing. God. You don't like it, you get slapped in the back of the head by the brothers, Went to an all-boy high school. But, I mean, my life experiences, though, all circle back around because I am on a mission to get this right. And I know I'm never gonna get it right, but I'm never gonna be perfect. The only thing I'm perfect at is step 1. It's the only one we're perfect at. You can't drink, You drink, you're out. Well, you start over. And that's fine. That's another thing. The biggest mistake I ever made was relapsing, and my sponsor let me ride off into the sunset. And some of my friends did reach out to me and say, hey, but there wasn't that one person, like today, when somebody I know, I care about, picks up, I have to talk to them, either phone or I'll show up and say, find them, because I'm telling you, don't go through this experiment on your own. I did it. I did it. I probably lost. I'm getting a second chance. It's very important. You pick up, not a big deal. Go to the next meeting the next morning. Tell everybody what you did. Ask for help. We all need help. I still need help. Every morning I wake up, I'm fighting for my life right out of the gate. Because that's why I pray so much. I don't want those crazy thoughts that come in my head, And sometimes they do, but they're fleeting. They just, and that doesn't make them good or bad. They're still dangerous because that's how I relapsed, out of nowhere. I thought it was a good idea to pick up a bottle, and I justified it by buying a small bottle instead of the handle. That was my oh, you're okay, you got this one. Psh, no way. So I mean,
if you can wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, to wrap up, I just, for the new people, just do yourself, your family, and everybody, and be uncomfortable for a little while. Because you know what? It is. Honestly, I couldn't speak in front of 3 people at once. I spoke in front of 200 people last night for 45 minutes. No problem. I could have went for another hour because I have so much passion about what this program has done for me. and the people I meet in the rooms. Oh, first of all, again, thank you very much, everybody, for welcoming me to this town. I just came here 3 weeks ago, knew nobody, and I feel so freaking at home now. When I'm coming back from the Jersey Shore, I feel good coming back here. I'm happy. I'm happy because I know there's places I can go. This is my safe place. So, you know, work on that, and I'm telling you, embrace it, and you're going to be fine. But you got to work. You got to do the work every day. That's it. Thank you.
We have come to the part of the meeting where we open the floor to you for shares, discussions, and questions. Limit your time to 3 minutes. Please try and keep your conversation to the literature or step shared by tonight's speaker. If you feel like drinking or if you had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. Now we'll open up the floor.
Elijah, recovering addict, thankfully.